Some folks read what I write. Other people watch my live streams. It depends. This is why I actually use a lot of different mediums to communicate, because people have different preferences for how they receive information. And I've been dumping a ton of information for years now, right? Like tons of information and showing how everything is connected. But it's it's one of these things where you have to repeat information over and over again for people, for it to actually sink in for people. So let's go over real quickly what is the meaning and implication of the Progressive Caucus getting put into provisional status and given essentially penalties that are unlikely that they can achieve these penalties, that they can actually remedy these things. Because Brandon Harami showed up on my Twitter feed and said, I'm not going to get a letter, right, if I didn't donate to the California Democratic Party Progressive Caucus PAC. That's not what it says. And so if they don't understand what their remedies are, that's going to be a problem for them. One of the things that they have to do is communicate. They have to send a letter to every candidate that they opposed. So basically what that means is they have to get a list of everybody who ever ran for ADEMS during the time that they had this PAC operational. Everybody who ran for Central Committee while they had this PAC operational. Every single person who ran against a candidate that they endorsed. And you have to send letters to all of those people. I realize the gravity of the penalties that they face right now. And I'm quite certain that they were so severe, so it would be very difficult for them to actually complete the remedies and get back to full status. But let's talk about how it's all interconnected, because I've been pointing this out for a long time, and a lot of people don't see it. They don't realize it. So this particular group of people has also really opened the door to Demexit and Nick Brana. They've worked closely. They are very closely working with Lauren Steiner, who is not a Democrat. She's an independent. She has helped Nick Brana. They all have tight relationships with Lauren, with Jimmy Dore, with the Convo Couch. This all filters in. This is like a network of people who are helping not only Karen Burnell's network, but also the movement for the People's Party. So it's interconnected, which right there by itself has national implications. But on top of it, Karen has also worked very hard to establish a stronghold on California chapters of Our Revolution, as well as stronghold over relationships with the leadership at the national level. So this also affects Our Revolution, who let them put their logo, the Our Revolution logo, on their Progressive Delegates Network site, as though all of these candidates that they endorsed and used their PAC money to support were also supported by Our Revolution. So this drags Our Revolution National into the problem. They've got people who are representing Our Revolution California, Brandon Harami, Emma Jensen, and more, are part of this, not only part of the Progressive Caucus board, but also part of the California Democratic Party Progressive Caucus PAC. Now, folks, for those of you, first of all, I can't believe that none of you have any business knowledge or experience and couldn't see how using a copyrighted name for your PAC to try and create some sort of credibility for what you were doing might end up in a lawsuit at some point. It seems to me that they're actually being very generous in just pursuing this through the party rather than actually suing you. And as board members, you are personally exposed to a lawsuit because you're board members of both things and you infringed upon a copyright. So you're exposed to a lot more. Like, there could be additional lawsuits as a result of this. There could be state investigations. There could be a federal investigation. What you did is very, very serious. Okay, so I've talked about the connections there. During a lot of these folks also became staffers to Bernie's campaign in California. So like Emma was a staffer on the campaign. There were other members of the caucus that got staffer positions within the campaign. During the San Francisco convention, the KDEM convention, in 2019, when the presidential candidates came to do caucus hopping and to speak to the delegation, the California delegation, people wearing Bernie volunteer shirts that were organized through their connections to the Progressive Caucus were distributing flyers with a pledge on it demanding that the delegates watch Jimmy Dore, Lauren Steiner, Convo Couch, RT personalities, Nico House. They were demanding that of all of the delegates of California. So yes, these are all connected issues. These are all connected issues. The whole California Progressive Alliance, they've been in bed with that network too. And this is all basically an endorsement racket. They want to have control over endorsements. And that's why it's so important for them to put the Our Revolution label on their Progressive Delegates network. That's why they're working so hard on destroying relationships within PDA right now. That it's an endorsement racket. It's a messaging and thing. It's an endorsement racket because the messaging part of it comes down to the live streamers, right? So Karen and her people get to decide who's truly progressive and who they should support. She's not always making choices of actually supporting progressives. Oftentimes she's picking people that are centrists and shining them up and giving them talking points so that they sound like they're progressive. And when it comes to their actual centrist views, she gives them strategies of how to skirt around those issues to make it sound like, oh, well, it's not really that big of a deal. You shouldn't really worry about that. The live stream network then fortifies that position and lifts up her candidates, but tears down the opposition, right? Many people within my acquaintance... That was a text. I got butt dialed yesterday by my former employer, and I was just sending a screenshot to say, can somebody please talk to this guy and have him remove my contact information from his phone because this is ridiculous. I can't even with it. But anyway, I digress. So the point being is that they've got a media network. They have a ground operations through their Our Revolution chapters and through their Feel the Burn Dem clubs. Now, I want to put an asterisk on that because I do know that the San Fernando Valley Feel the Burn Dem club is a little bit more autonomous. That being said, Betty, you did get sucked into the MPP, the Nick Brana event, to organize that event of the March for Medicare for All event where they featured anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers, and you had to cut the mic on 2 speakers. And then you got dragged on social media. So while I do appreciate that you have some level of autonomy, you were still supporting, up until they dragged you, you were still supporting that exact network, that same ecosystem of people who have been disruptive and destructive to progressive politics. So I'm not here to like totally scold you because I get that you like had a terrible experience and you probably learned your lessons from that. But this is how the control works. This is how it works. It's the in club, you're only cool if you're in with Karen's network. And I can tell you there are actual true progressives up and down the state who really don't like her and don't like her methods. But we get bullied out. And yes, it's all connected because they feed off of each other's perceived power, what they perceive to be power. And now that there's a financial scandal that they're all trying to hush up and nobody wants to talk about, The reality is, if the Secretary of State and the Attorney General, or even the party, sues them, it will have national implications because there are so many factions involved and connected to what she was doing and what Norman was doing. There are a lot of factions connected to this, and it will have national implications. So I try and explain these things to the best of my ability because these are observances I've had for 3 years. But it's going to be a lofty goal to try and comply with everything that the party has laid down as the remedies. And the fact that Brandon showed up on my Twitter and acted like he didn't even understand what the remedies are, that's a problem. Because he is on the board of the Progressive Caucus. I can't remember. He might also be on the board of the California Democratic Party Progressive Caucus PAC too. So they're going to have to give a report in 30 days. We'll see how they do. Hopefully they take a hot minute to actually read and understand what it is that they have to comply with. Otherwise, that caucus is going to be gone. Poof. Okay, let's see how this goes, y'all.